Microsoft Teams. For so many of us, it's pretty much the digital command center for our entire workday. It connects us with people right down the hall or halfway around the world. But what happens when you hit a speed bump you didn't even know was there? Let's get into it.
Okay, get this. 320 million people use Teams every single day. That number is just staggering, and it really shows you how essential this tool has become. It's not just an app, it's literally woven into the fabric of how modern businesses operate.
And that's really the big question we're tackling today. Because for all of its power, Teams has these built-in limits. Think of them like hidden walls that can quietly mess up your workflow, break up conversations, and just slow everything down. So here's our game plan. We'll start with what I'm calling the Teams paradox. Then we'll look at the specific limits you might be running into. We'll cover the usual workarounds, then get into the really cool part, how to power up Teams, and finally, talk about how to optimize your whole digital workspace. So what is this paradox? Well, it's that Teams is built for massive, wide-open collaboration, but it's also got these very specific caps and constraints. And these aren't bugs, they're part of the design. The problem is, if you don't know they're there, you suddenly find your projects hitting these invisible roadblocks, creating information silos you never wanted. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. These limits aren't just some numbers on a technical document somewhere. No, these have a real, actual impact on how you and your team get work done every single day. Let's break down some of the big ones. First up, group chat. You're capped at 250 people. Now, for a small team, no big deal. But what about a department-wide discussion or a big project update? You're forced to split the conversation into multiple chats, and suddenly you've got people in one chat who don't know what's happening in the other, and key info gets lost. And then there are private channels. You only get 30 of them per team. That might sound like a lot, but for any complex project with lots of different sub-teams or external partners who all need a secure space, you run out of room fast. It just creates this administrative headache you just don't need. And let's talk files. The 250 gigabyte limit, okay, it seems pretty generous, right? But if you're a video editor, a designer, or an engineer working with huge data sets, you know that this is a constant hurdle. It forces you into these clunky workarounds just to share critical project files. So here's the bottom line. It's not just one of these limits. It's how they all add up to create friction. They get in the way of a smooth workflow, they break up important conversations, and they force your team to spend more time managing the tool than actually doing the work. This chart really lays it out. You can see the ones we've talked about, chat, file size, but also others, like a 30-hour limit on meetings, which can be a real pain for long training sessions or workshops. You start to see a clear pattern here, right? These boundaries affect just about everything. Now, of course, people have found ways to get around these things. Microsoft even offers some native tools and methods to sort of navigate these walls. But, as I'm sure many of you have found out the hard way, they're not exactly elegant solutions. I mean, sure, you can compress files, but that eats up time. You can split up your teams, but that just creates more silos. And yeah, you can use live events, but they don't have that same interactive feel. These are really just band-aids, not real solutions. They work, kinda, but they just add more busy work. So, what's the better way? Well, instead of just working around the limits, the real pro move is to work beyond them. And you do that by extending what teams can do with specialized tools that integrate right into it. And that's where a company like VirtoSoftware comes into the picture. They've been specializing in the Microsoft ecosystem for over 15 years. They don't just build things that work with teams, they build tools specifically designed to solve these core limitations, all while keeping your data safe. This slide right here gets to the heart of it. Those hard limits on chat size are annoying, sure, but they're often a symptom of a much bigger problem: information silos. And nowhere is that more painful than with calendars. Project schedules, team availability, it's all scattered. On the right, you see the fix. A tool like VirtoCalendar attacks that silo problem head-on, giving you one unified view of everything happening across your entire Microsoft 365 world. So why does this work so well? Because these tools are purpose-built. VirtoCalendar, for instance, is designed to do one thing incredibly well: fix the mess of scattered schedules. It pulls in your calendars from Teams channels, SharePoint, Planner, you name it, and puts it all in one place. And this is crucial, it keeps all of your data secure, right inside the Microsoft ecosystem. No compliance nightmares. Okay, let's pull all of this together. The point isn't just to gripe about the limits in Teams. The real goal here is to use them as a launchpad to build a smarter, more connected, and just plain more efficient digital workspace for you and everyone on your team. And that is the biggest takeaway. Hitting one of these limits shouldn't just be frustrating. It should be a trigger, an invitation to step back and ask, wait, is there a better way to do this? Is there a tool that can just make this problem go away? I love this idea. Transform any obstacle into an opportunity is perfect. Every single limitation we talked about today, well, it's actually a chance to streamline your process, get better visibility, and ultimately help your team be more productive. So, I'll just leave you with this one question. Now that you know about these hidden walls inside of Teams, but you also know there are ways to break right through them, what's the first obstacle you're going to turn into an opportunity? How are you going to redesign your digital workspace so it works without those limits?